Hey everyone, welcome back. So for this deep dive, we're tackling something that you guys sent in, and
Mm.
it's a piece that really digs into this question of, are we living the life that we're meant to?
It really does get to the heart of it.
And what I found really cool about it is that it goes beyond just thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
It offers some actual steps to kind of uncover and live authentically.
Exactly.
So I'm excited to dive into this with you.
Yeah, me too. So, what I found really interesting about this piece is this idea of a borrowed life. Living a life that's kind of been handed to us, or a life that's based on maybe expectations from family or society or even just what we see around us. But it doesn't truly align with who we are at our core.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I think about it kind of like wearing clothes that look great on everyone else, but they just don't quite fit you.
Yeah.
They might look stylish on, but you're constantly adjusting and you just feel a bit off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that discomfort, right? That might be what living a borrowed life can feel like. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the source does a great job of getting to the heart of it with some really tough questions that it makes us ask ourselves.
Okay, what?
Like, are we really passionate about the work we do?
Hmm?
Do our relationships truly energize us, or do they drain us?
Yeah.
And have we experienced genuine joy lately?
Mm-hmm.
These questions force us to really confront, whether we are truly in sync with ourselves.
Those are deep.
They are.
Those are some deep questions. And, I'm thinking even right now, like fear might play a role in, why so many people feel stuck.
For sure.
And this piece calls out fear and societal conditioning as major roadblocks.
Yeah, fear is a powerful force. Whether it's fear of failure or judgment or even success,
Yeah.
it can keep us paralyzed in a life that doesn't feel right. And then on top of that, you add societal norms.
Yeah.
We're bombarded with messages about what a successful life should look like.
Mm.
And it's a picture that doesn't always resonate with our individual desires.
It's true,
Right.
right? It's like, we've all heard that script. Go to college, get a good job, buy a house, settle down.
Right.
And while that might be perfect for some, what if your heart is pulling you in a totally different direction?
Mm-hmm.
What if you want to open a small bakery or start a nonprofit or travel the world as a photographer? These paths might seem risky to some, but they could be exactly what lights you up.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really interesting, Like, why are certain paths seen as risky? And how can we actually evaluate those risks?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes what feels safe is actually what's holding us back from truly living.
That is such a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have this idea of a borrowed life.
Right.
And then these forces that keep us from breaking free. But the big question is, how do we actually start living a life that is truly ours?
Right.
And I know the source offers some steps, and that's what I'm really excited to get into.
Let's do it. So the source suggests we start with self-reflection,
Mm-hmm.
like taking the time to really understand ourselves.
Okay.
Our values, our passions, and what we truly desire in life.
So self-reflection, that sounds a little intimidating, to be honest. How do we actually do that effectively?
Well, it doesn't have to be, some big mystical process. The source suggests simple practices like journaling. And I don't mean just listing what you did that day, but like prompting yourself with questions, like what moments today felt truly alive, or what activities drained my energy. Even just 5 minutes a day can reveal a lot about yourself.
I love that. Those are great prompts. I've also found that meditation can be helpful. It's like you create a space to quiet the mental chatter and really tune in to what's going on inside.
Absolutely. Meditation can be so powerful.
Yeah.
And, for some people, spending time in nature does the trick. The key is finding what works for you and making it a regular practice.
Yeah. It's like creating that habit of checking in with yourself instead of just going through the motions.
Yeah, exactly.
And then once we have a better sense of ourselves, I think the source talked about setting boundaries.
Yeah, setting boundaries is crucial for living authentically. It's about recognizing, what depletes our energy and having the courage to say no, even when it's difficult.
Okay, so how do we know when to set boundaries? Like, give me an example.
Well, you can think of it this way.
Yeah.
Every time we say yes to something that doesn't align with our values, we're saying no to something that does.
That's a powerful way to look at it. It's like we have a limited amount of energy and attention, and we get to choose how we spend it.
Exactly.
I remember when I was starting out in my career, I felt this pressure to take on every project,
Yeah.
attend every event, even if it meant sacrificing my personal time and my well-being.
I've been there.
And I finally realized I was spreading myself way too thin, and I was just burning out.
Yeah.
Learning to say no was a game changer.
Oh, it's a common struggle, for sure.
Yeah.
It takes practice. Especially, because societal expectations often make us feel like we should always be agreeable and accommodating.
Right.
But setting boundaries isn't selfish.
Okay.
It's about honoring our own needs and limits.
Oh.
And, it allows us to show up more fully for the things that truly matter.
So we've got self-reflection to get clarity on who we are and what we want.
Right.
Then setting boundaries to protect our energy and our time. What's next in this journey of living authentically?
Well, the source emphasizes that, it's not enough to just understand these concepts. We need to actually take action.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't have to be some huge dramatic leap. It's about taking small, consistent steps towards the life we envision.
Okay, I love that. It's so easy to get overwhelmed by the big picture, right?
Oh, for sure.
But if we can break things down into those smaller, more manageable steps, it just feels less daunting.
Right.
It's like, imagine you want to write a novel.
Okay.
Instead of staring at a blank page and feeling paralyzed, you commit to writing just one page a day.
Yeah, exactly. It's about shifting our focus from achieving, some grand outcome to simply doing the next right thing. Consistency over time is what creates real change.
And this reminds me of a story the source shared about a woman who always dreamed of starting her own business.
Oh, yeah.
She felt so overwhelmed by the logistics.
Oh, I can relate to that.
So she started by dedicating just 30 minutes each evening to researching different business ideas and developing a plan. And over time, those small steps turned into a thriving online store.
Wow. That's incredible.
Inspiring, right?
It is. And it highlights, how transformative small actions can be when done consistently. The source also cautions against falling into the trap of delaying our happiness until we achieve certain milestones.
Oh, the I'll be happy when trap.
Right.
Or I've definitely been there. I'll be happy when I get that promotion, when I lose 10 pounds, when I finally go on that dream vacation. But the problem is there's always another win on the horizon.
Right. And it keeps us from fully experiencing the joy that's available to us in this moment.
Yeah.
The source suggests, shifting our focus to cultivating happiness in the present.
Oh, okay.
It's about practicing gratitude, even for the smallest things, and celebrating the little victories along the way.
I think that's so important. It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life and forget to appreciate all the good things we already have. What are you grateful for today?
Oh, well, that's a great question. I'm incredibly grateful for this conversation we're having. It's so energizing to explore these ideas and share them with you. I'm also grateful for the warm sunshine streaming through my window right now. It's a simple pleasure that I never want to take for granted.
Those are wonderful things to be grateful for. And I think it's important to celebrate those small wins, too. Even if it's just completing a challenging task or having a productive day or making a healthy choice. Recognizing and appreciating these small victories can really boost our mood and our motivation.
Absolutely. It's about acknowledging our progress and giving ourselves permission to feel good about it. And those positive feelings fuel our desire to keep moving forward.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've explored the concept of a borrowed life, the challenges of breaking free from societal expectations, and the importance of self-reflection, setting boundaries, and taking small steps towards our goals. We even talked about how happiness isn't some distant destination, but something we can cultivate in the present moment.
Yeah, it's been a rich conversation for sure.
But there's one piece I'm still curious about. How do we know when we've actually found our true life? What does that even look like?
Yeah, that's a question that I think a lot of us grapple with.
Yeah.
And, the piece kind of hints at it without really explicitly defining it. I don't think there's this one-size-fits-all picture of a true life. It's less about reaching a destination and more about the journey itself.
So it's not like there's this magical moment where a spotlight shines down and you hear, "You have arrived at your true life."
Exactly. It's much more subtle than that. It's about noticing a feeling of alignment, a sense of peace and purpose in your daily life. You might find yourself, energized by your work, deeply connected in your relationships, and engaged in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment.
It's like all the pieces are finally clicking into place, even if it's not, some picture-perfect image.
Exactly. It's about feeling authentically wise, even amidst the messiness and imperfections of life. And the source makes a really interesting point about how this very idea of one true life can feel limiting. What if our passions and values evolve over time?
Right. We're not static beings. We're constantly growing and changing. So maybe it's less about finding that one right path and more about being open to exploration and allowing ourselves to evolve.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about trusting our intuition, taking those small steps and making adjustments along the way, and remembering that it's okay to change course if something no longer feels aligned.
This deep dive has been so insightful. We've explored the concept of a borrowed life, the challenges of breaking free from societal expectations, and the importance of self-reflection, setting boundaries, and taking small steps towards a more authentic life. We even talked about how happiness isn't some distant destination, but something that we can cultivate in the present moment.
It has been a rich conversation. I'm so glad that we could explore these ideas together. And if you're feeling inspired to start living a life that's more true to you, just remember it's a journey, not a race. Be patient with yourself, embrace the process, and trust that you have the wisdom and the strength to create a life that feels truly aligned with who you are.
Beautifully said. And to everyone listening, what resonated with you most from our deep dive today? What one small step can you take this week to move closer to living a life that feels more authentic and aligned with your values? Remember, even the smallest actions can create ripples of change over time. Thanks for joining us on this journey of exploration, and keep diving deep into the questions that matter most to you.